By the way, how much criticism are you going to give the black women? And this is what the non-black women got from you. And you dealt with 3 times, by your own admission, or at least your own claim, you dealt with 3 times as many of them. 3 times as many. So I'm like, okay, well, if your attitude is straight and everything, I want to see what the outcome was for them. It wasn't any better than it would have been over here. It wasn't any better. And yet you got complaints. I'm just thinking about that, and you saw right out of the gate. I'm like, okay, what's the difference between this and Pookie and Bushika? What's the difference?
He wasn't.
While you're claiming that the problem is that they are just respecting me.
Ways. They weren't better, and he wasn't better either.
For a few moments, he went all the way to the Asian side of town to get a baby mama, to pick up a single mom. He could stay where he was. He was in South Central. Dude, you could stay in South Central where you were. You could save the bus fare. There was I'm just saying, he went all the way over there to get a single mom with baby daddy issues by his own admission and all. Okay, well, dude, how is that better? Well, the journey was better. Now, he didn't want to have to fess up to that either, because a lot of these dudes, let me tell you right now, a lot of you fellas out there, you all grossly misunderstand what I do here and who I am, because you have been weaned on a steady diet of the internet's fakers, frauds, and failures. That red pill, black manosphere, the winosphere crap, there's a reason I don't deal with that. Because it nurtures and coddles dudes like Greg. It makes them feel comfortable with what they're doing or what they've done. So now they're forming a great big community of underachievers and failures. Dude, you're in your 40s now. What benefit are you going to be to a chick like that? Not only that, you still got 2 kids to take care of. So you're basically sidelined until you're in your 50s. You're basically sidelined to your 50s. Women are not dumb. You're not going to get prime real estate. Furthermore, he ain't making enough money to be able to do that. He's got too many obligations to be able to do that. He's not in the place to be doing that. So what they do is they sit in their own little circles and tell themselves how great they're doing. And that's the problem. If they had an opportunity to be objective about it, they recognize that's not really balling as great as they think they are. Or at least as great as they tell themselves. Better yet, you can have that. However, this does bring another thing into focus here. I gotta say this too. A lot of fellas out there want to be respected for things they haven't done. A lot of fellas out there want to be valued for things they haven't done. Fellas, I'm gonna say this straight. If you were listening to Greg when he started talking, you would think that he was like Andre. What he was doing was putting on Andre's camouflage is what he was doing. Don't worry, I was the little articulate talking kid in elementary school. I was square. The chicks didn't really dig me like that. Because of that, then they were looking for a bad boy. Okay, got it. But then you take a look at his behavior right out the gate. When he actually did have an opportunity to pick and choose, take a look at what he chose. That's not a guy who's living this life. The other thing is, a lot of y'all are trying to wait until you're in your 40s and damn 50s to get your act together. You're trying to wait until you're in your 40s, 50s, or later to become a complete man. And that's not going to work. You can't become a complete man in your 40s and 50s. You've wasted 2 decades by that time. And usually what's happening is you're still holding on to a lot of vestiges of failure you had before. So what you get in his case is a 42, 43, or 41 or 42-year-old dude who's still coming out of his teen years. And just like children tend to infantilize single mothers, having teenagers around a man who's still trying to be sporty, does that make him mature? Or does he think he's found a peer? Andre. Am I mischaracterizing that? There's 2 men here. Maybe I'm mischaracterizing that. Maybe the teenager with him is going to make him mature better.
No, I see it the same way as you've mentioned before about, single moms who get pregnant early. It stunts their growth. And his growth has been stunted. I mean, you know where I work, but we interviewed someone who was, a 22-year-old kid last year when I was working at one of the direct competitors. They had that exact same, poster, a Mercedes thing. And as soon as I saw it, I already had a feeling. I said, oh, something's off with this guy. In terms of, I just knew it from the beginning. And I could sense that, as you mentioned, he was speaking personally. He tried to say, "Oh well, he's like Andre, this and this." And then I started noticing. I was like, "Oh no, he's talking about whatever happened with him and black women. He's not just saying this as it's a past thing that occurs. Like I can feel the current emotional strain he still has." And I mean, I have no reason to believe he's lying. But let's just say he does make the 135. As you said, once you make a certain amount of money, you can choose the women you want. At that point, you're intentionally choosing what you want. So once he said, he said, "Oh, well, all the black women, they hated nerds and they hated, men who just wore their pants at their waist level and all this other just hoopla." I already knew. I said, "Oh yeah, we're dealing with it. It's all good." I just basically kind of checked out. But like you say, yeah, he's going to be, I guess, 17 and a half for the rest of his life. Which is, it's unfortunate just from, like, man to man, but, hey, Jason, for guys like you and I, hey, he is a threat for different reasons, but, he makes the competition easier.
Well, yeah, that certainly does, thin out the herd in a lot of regards, but it's a problem as well, too, because he's wearing our uniform, and he's messing up the real estate. He's wearing our uniform, which basically makes him our de facto representative. He grew up in South Central, allegedly. Dude, there was a reason why fellas on the block was G-checking. If you're going to be walking down the street and whatnot, it's like, wait, we need to know who's legit and who isn't. That's part of survival instinct. And what dudes were letting you know is, you ain't legit. We don't feel that. Now he's a grown man, and he doesn't see the value of that. He doesn't see the value of having legitimacy. So he comes up, and he wants to get what we've got, but he doesn't want to do what we have to do. Because we don't move like that. We don't move like that. We don't move like saying, okay, let's be honest, his real issue is what he was saying is that they weren't doing what he wanted them to do. They weren't tolerating what he wanted them to tolerate. They won't go ahead and go along with that. So then they say, well, fine, I'll go find me a non-black female who will. Great. And how good did that work out for them? They went for the bait, and how did it work out for them? Are they knocking anybody over to trade places with you? And that's not what's occurring. Well, I'm very glad that he went ahead and called in and said that, because that gives us a good idea. Fellas, if you want to know what one of the headwinds is, I have no problem confronting these things honestly. That's a headwind. That's a headwind. For every Andre out there, there's a Greg driving by his 2006 BMW M5, trying to give an impression.
Well, that's probably where his value is now, right? It's like with his car and what he can show people that he has. And, a lot of people, they invest more in their car than they invest in their home because they figure everyone sees the car, you drive it around everywhere, so strangers and everyone sees that. Of course, everyone doesn't see your home, right? Everyone's not invited to your home. So I think it's just a little bit of immaturity, like you said, Jason. It's the value is on the wrong things. The emphasis is on the wrong things. And he probably feels like he needs that car to get respect.
I would say also that, and Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, because, we're both in the South side. I would say he's also bringing that California mindset where I've noticed, I lived out there for a bit. In California, your status is your car. In the South, our status is our house and how much, property we have. So he's just mix-matching basically everything. And he says he's dating women who've hit the wall, but what I see are two equal forces meeting each other where they're at. I don't think he could get the Asian or white or black, whatever women he wants anymore. I don't think he could get them now. So I think he's basically forced back into, dare I say, submitting to whatever options he does have now.
Well, let's try this a different way here, because this is a dynamic that really gets missing a lot of the time, and it's really a problem with single motherhood. If you have a young male, a male is worthless without leadership. if he's not cultivating leadership abilities, he's useless. He's useless. A woman doesn't need a male companion. She doesn't just need a fellow to hang out with. She needs a fellow who actually is leading. That's the real question, is whether or not they're leading. What are you doing with that? Or is he just hanging around? And that's the part I'm taking a look at there is, okay, dude, what are you doing in that regard? Where's the leadership? Where are you taking her to? Maybe we didn't reach the destination. You already got one kid. Don't worry. Think about that for a moment. She could tell in advance, what are you going to have? Your credit's going to be messed up. You're going to be in Euless, Texas with another kid. Think about that for a few moments. If he could tell her in advance what she could look forward to. Baby, in 10 years, you're going to be upside down. You're going to have two baby daddies, not one. You're going to be in Euless, Texas, and you're going to be driving the same beater you were. If you could give him a crystal ball,
I mean, there's no
to sign up for this deal.